Hey everyone, welcome to the We the People of Washington weekday live stream. Today we have a very special guest that I am going to let Tony introduce. Tony, go for it.
So this is Sheriff Keith Swank, and he is the sheriff for Pierce County. He's been very vocal on a couple of bills that we've been talking about, so I've been really excited to have him on today. I did really want to start out by, before we really dive into this, by just thanking you for being here and being willing to speak publicly as you do. I personally love it. And as somebody who's been born and raised in the area, I appreciate everything that you do. So I just really wanted to start there. And then do you have anything that you want to start off with before we start interrogating you, or?
Well, maybe I'll just tell you quickly a little bit about myself, and then that will give you a little bit of background about what I am and where I come from. I was born and raised in a small country town in Pennsylvania. I grew up on a farm. Then when I turned 18, I joined the Army. That's what brought me out here to Pierce County. I was stationed at Fort Lewis. And I got out of the Army after 3 years of active duty. I went to college at the University of Washington with the goal of getting my degree and going back into the military because I loved the Army. I was airborne qualified. I went to Ranger School, high altitude, low opening. I was in a long range recon unit. It was just great. But while I was at the University of Washington, I became unemployed for a minute, and I took some tests with the Seattle Police Department just to fulfill my obligations to receive my unemployment. You had to fill out 3 applications a week. And I tell people that are young all the time, I said, you had to look in this thing called the want ads in the back of a newspaper, right? And then you have to write letters. But anyhow, I never wanted to be a cop, but I went through the testing process because they were harassing me to take tests. And at the time, they were hiring a bunch of cops around the state and around the country. And at the end of April 1990, in my freshman year, in my spring quarter, they called me and said, hey, you want to have a job with us? And I was like, I never wanted to have a job with you, but how much does it pay? And they said $12.35 an hour. And I did the math real quick on that. And I had just got out of the Army, and I had made $800 a month, and I worked like 24 hours a day every day. And I did the math, and I was like, wow, I'm going to be rich. So I took the job with full intentions of going to the academy and doing all of that. And then when I got done, I would go to school full time while I had my police job. And I did do that. And I graduated at the University of Washington with a Bachelor of Science degree. But I had already been a cop for 3 years, and I loved it, and I never went back into the military again. I just stayed there, and I worked there for 33 years. And then I retired in June of 2023 as a captain with the Seattle Police Department. And then in 2024, I ran for sheriff, and then I won the election. And then 2025, I took over sheriff, the 48th sheriff of Pierce County, the first ever elected outside of the Pierce County Sheriff's Office, the first outsider ever elected there since 1853 when we became a county.
Right.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very accomplished.
So the bills that we're specifically addressing right now is the one where the Washington State Legislature is going to strip the citizens of their ability of electing their own local sheriff, or strip a local sheriff of their ability to, represent their constituents, and then give it to an unelected board. And that's what your testimony at the State House was about, correct?
Yeah, that's what it was about. Yes.
Awesome. Do you have a little more insight on that, on why this is a bill that should be opposed and why the position of elected sheriff is so important?
Right. Thank you. The Democrats control the state House 60% plus, state Senate 60% plus. They control every single executive statewide position in the state, every single one, as you all know that. I tell people this all the time. They have complete control, and then they bully the school boards with the OSPI, saying if you don't do what we say, you don't get money. So I mean, why even have a school board, right? So what they thought to themselves, who do we need to have take control of in order to have complete control of this state and impose our will upon everybody? And it's the sheriffs, because the sheriff are elected by the people. We're independent. We stand up. Well, if you're a real sheriff, that is, you stand up, you stand in the breach for the people. And when they pass unconstitutional laws in Olympia, you say this: we're not going to enforce those laws in my county, right?
Mhm.
And so they want to do stuff like gun confiscation, which is really funny because they want to make sure they have armed guards for them down there, right? They want to do
Yeah.
that stuff. They want to be able to take away your freedom of speech and say that what you said is hate speech and put you into jail or an indoctrination camp to change your mind and all of that too. So they talk about no kings and all of that, and they're the kings down there. So that's what's going on. I'm a member of WASPIC, the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. I told, and WASA, the Washington State Sheriffs Association, I told them all 6 months ago to stand firm, stand strong, don't compromise. But they think they're smarter than me because some of them have been a sheriff longer than me. But I explained to them that I've been involved in politics for a long time. I've run for office before. But in addition to that, I'm the elected sheriff of a county of 1 million people. That's a big deal. That's bigger than a congressional district. And I'm a conservative. So I'm a conservative. Now it's nonpartisan, but everybody knows me, knows I'm conservative. Okay. But I'm not a member of the Republican Party anymore. But anyhow, I'm elected to a larger percent number of people than even a U.S. representative is. So I am conservative, elected to the largest body of people in the whole state, and in the whole state that's happened in decades. And so I said to them, you guys can say whatever you want to say, but I'm telling you what's going on. And they poo-pooed me. And so they said they're going to have their position to compromise with the state Senate. And I said, okay, you guys do whatever you want to do. And I'm going to go down and say my piece. So I went down there, said my piece. Now, people have called me up and I've done some interviews and they said to me, do you regret anything that you said? That's what people always want to say to you. Do you regret what you said? And I said, yes, I do. They're thinking like, yeah, I got you. I said, I regret that I didn't have the full 3 minutes because they took 90 seconds from me. So I regret what I didn't get to say. No, I
Yeah.
don't regret what I said. I said exactly what I said. I thought those words out. I wrote them out, stand by them, and I'm ready to fight for my people in Pierce County. Lastly, that video has over 5 million views, maybe even 6 or 7 million views by now. People from all over the world are reaching out to me and saying, thank you. You're giving us courage. And I tell you this and everybody else, courage is contagious. So be courageous. It emboldens people. People come to me and say, you're speaking out for me. I've never had anybody speak out like that. I've never had anybody brave enough to say that transgender women are men. And they could really say it, because if I said it, I'd get fired from my work, right? And all of this stuff. So I'm there to stand up for people, to give them courage, to speak the truth, and to protect them, protect their rights so they can do what their God-given rights are, and that is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah. I love that you don't back down after. So many people speak up and then they get the backlash and go, oh, okay, I'm gonna calm it down. But I value the fact that you do not do that, because I'm very much the same way. I'm gonna speak what I believe, and I don't really care if you like it. Right.
Well,
But I think more people like it than don't also, right? Like, you have support. You would not have been elected in what is always thought to be a Democratic county if people didn't like you and like what you have to say.
yeah, the other part about you say something and then you say, please forgive me afterwards. Who's going to believe you or trust in you then anyhow? That would be like, what? You just get emotional and spout off. I can't trust you. It's funny. And my brother, he called me up last night and he said, hey man, I'm just checking in on you, see how it's going and how you doing and everything. And he said, and I watched your speech and you seemed like you were, like, he's seen my other speeches before, right? He's like, you just seemed like you were really like on fire there, or like you were upset or something like that, just different and everything. And I said, I told him, and I'll tell you guys this too. I said, no, maybe I was, but really I was scared to say that, right? I mean, it's scary to say that because I didn't have anybody standing there that followed me up and said, yeah, what Swank said, right? No one came back and said that. The sheriffs I knew what they were going to do. They wrote their strongly worded letter to remove me from the club, and all of that. But and I never spoke in Olympia before. I've spoken in front of people before, but I've never spoke that firmly and basically challenged them and said, "You can do whatever you're going to do, but I'm not abiding by it." Right? I mean, that's courageous. And I wasn't doing it just to try to like come here to be able to talk to you and tell you that. I mean, I'm a normal human being too. Yes, I was nervous. Yes, my wife and I have people say they're going to kill us. It's serious business here, right? It's serious business.
Yeah. I'm very glad that you brought that up, because that's something that we try to talk about all the time, is like, these are big things that we're doing, and they're new and they are scary, and we're doing them anyway. And that's what's important, because the only way that we're going to get anywhere, the Republicans up there, I saw 3 of mine here in district or legislator district 2. I'm not saying that right now, but they're all Republicans, and they all basically said that they don't really have any control over anything that's happening up there, So I know that there's another bill, I think it's 5068, that you just spoke out against as well. Can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, that's the bill about hiring non-citizens to be law enforcement officers and corrections officers, and prosecuting attorneys and things like that. You know, I don't even know. It's foreign to me how somebody can even wrap their mind around and say to them, it's okay for a non-citizen to arrest a citizen, take away their liberty, arrest a citizen, or use force on a citizen up to including deadly force, and you're okay with that. That doesn't even make sense to me. And then I think about, like, here's a big deal that they don't tell you about this. When I said, because they didn't hear the whole, people haven't heard the whole reason, but that's part of the reason. The other reason is, if somebody is not from America and they apply to be a police officer, we do a deep dive background check into you, deeper than top secret that you would get in the military, which is good, because I'm responsible for you be out in the street and using force on people and taking away their liberties, right? We can't do a background check on some guy from Bangladesh. It doesn't matter how good of a guy he is. And people try to say, well, he's here in America, so he's got to be good. No, that's not how that works. And then other people say, well, of course you shouldn't hire illegal aliens. And it's not illegal aliens. It's resident aliens. It's people here who are not citizens, who are legally here, legally allowed to be here, legally allowed to work. I'm okay with them working as a civilian in the sheriff's office, if they pass a background test and do all that stuff. I'm not good with them, and I stand by it, of being a cop or a jailer, using force on people, taking people's liberties away that are not, and you're not a citizen doing that to citizens. I'm not good with that. And the prosecuting attorney's office said, you can't say what you said. And I said, well, I said it, and you have to retract it. And I said, well, I'm not. So what are you going to do about it, right? I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And then, well, you're setting up the county for liability and the sheriff's office for liability. Okay, all right, then so be it then. And then they try to say, well, and then yourself personally, okay, my wife and I already know that something like that might happen, but you're not going to scare me. I mean, I don't know you two. I just met you 5 minutes ago, right? But here's the deal. People have really tried to kill me before. I've been shot at. People have stabbed me before. Like, I'm not scared of anything. I know where I'm going when I die, too. And I'm not saying it's like I got a death wish. I don't want something to happen to me, because I want to be around for my wife and my family and all, like everything else you guys want to do too. But at the same time, too, you can't scare me off from doing what I believe is the right thing. Now, that being said, if I do something wrong and I find out later on that I made a wrong decision, I'm going to own up to it and say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, and I've done some more research. This is where we should go. So I try not to pipe off, half cocked, and just say stuff.
Yeah.
I've been alive for 57 years, soon to be 58 years old, and I do have my value system in place. And whenever you ask me something, whether it's law enforcement or has to deal with personnel issues, if I hear the scenario, I pretty much have an answer for you right away. I really don't have to think about it for a long time because I already know what to do. You know what I mean? Like I've been doing this for a long time. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. My sheriff here, I live in Pacific County. It's a very small county, especially
Pacific
compared
County,
to, yes,
Daniel
Pacific County.
Garcia.
Daniel Garcia, yeah. So
He's my
Daniel
friend.
Garcia and
I
I are
love
friends.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so he the county here pulled the jail from him.
Yeah.
They did it at the last hour on December 31st, and I actually led the recall against one of the county commissioners. That was one of the reasons we got it through this local county superior court, lost because she appealed it using $120,000 of county money to appeal it with the Supreme Court. We lost the Supreme Court appeal, but he's a friend of mine. Our kids go to karate together, and he's running for re-election. But a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people in the community push back because he has been outspoken as a constitutional sheriff, right? That is the law of the land, talking about how that is the rules that he follows, the ordinances and everything else that comes out of Olympia, that is secondary to the Constitution. And how do you stand when it comes to the Constitution, being a constitutional sheriff?
Yeah. I just spoke at a meeting out here. It was the Constitutional Sheriffs and Police Officers Association that came out here.
Yep.
And I spoke at it. And Sheriff Mack, I met him, and I know
Richard
him.
Mack. Yep.
Richard Mack, yeah. Oh, that has a bad connotation. That group has a bad connotation here in Washington State. If you remember that, they equate you, they meaning the haters, they equate you to white supremacist and Nazi, and all the stuff like that. So he's out here, but I'm not a member of that group. But I'll speak at that group, and I'm speaking at a group on Saturday. That's going to be full of people who are very, very far to the left. They're not even progressive. They just flat out hate ICE. They hate me. They hate all kinds. But I'll be speaking there, so I speak wherever I can, right, to get my point out. But
That's
to
great.
say that I do support and abide by the U.S. Constitution, right? That is the supreme law of the land, right? And so in Olympia, they passed these anti-gun legislations, the magazine ban, AR, all those bans like that, semi-automatic rifle bans. I'm not enforcing that stuff. U.S. Supreme Court's already ruled on that, right? But they don't care here. They go ahead and pass that anyhow. And Sheriff Garcia is a lot like me. He knows the same thing. And we've been back to Washington, D.C. on a trip together. That's how I met him. I have a lot of respect for him. He wasn't a cop before, but he's a cop now, went to the academy and all of that. And he's standing firm for the people in his county. So I am too, for my people too. Just the other day, a guy came to me. First off, I tell people, I wasn't elected chief of police. I was elected sheriff. And it's more than just law enforcement. A guy comes see me the other day. He wants to talk to me about gold mining and about how he's just a little guy out in the stream, sluice box and stuff like that, right? And about how the regulations have been imposed on him, so he can't even do what he's been doing his whole life when his family does, and he has a claim. And now they say you can't do this, you can't do that. And he's like, Sheriff, what can you do to help me? Well, I don't really know what I can do to help him, but I do want to help him, right? Because that's our heritage. That's what we do, right? He wasn't in there some big dredging equipment that's run by hydraulics and diesel fuel. This is just a guy out there with his hands, and he's not allowed to pan for gold. Are you serious? So I want to help him out, but the prosecuting attorney's not on my side. They're against me, so it's kind of hard. But you know what I mean? People come to the sheriff for all kinds of things like that, and they need us there and want us there so they can talk to us about those things. And even if I can't do anything, just listening to them and letting them know that I hear them and that it's terrible and I'm with them, that keeps them here. And the last thing I want to say, just before I get it off by just beforehand, and I'm sorry I'm talking so much, is that, since I did this speech, I have had people say this to me: Sheriff, I was moving out of Pierce County, but I'm going to stay until the end of your term. Sheriff, I'm thinking about moving to Pierce County. You're not leaving, are you? You won't let them remove you, are you? Sheriff, I'm one of those thousands that will be around the county city building, I won't let them remove you from office. Sheriff, will you run for governor? Right? It's giving people courage, and they're
Yeah.
staying here. So many people have left this state that they're reasonable, normal people. We're losing the population, therefore we're losing these races, right? And elections. And then we're losing them, and people that are crazy that come in there and want to remove sheriffs from office are winning elections. So I'm here to fight, whichever
Well,
way
thank
it
you.
is.
Yeah, we're definitely grateful to have you. I mean, we need more of you. That's for darn sure. What do you suggest people do? You know, we talk all the time about how we can actually get involved and how we can actually have an impact, and it's so hard because the Democrats do have so much control. So, do we just need an army? Do we need those thousands who would come to you and support you if they were trying to kick you out? We need them active now. We need them contacting their legislators now, right? I mean, what else do you see needs to be done to
Yeah,
prevent this?
contact your representatives and tell them that you want to keep the office of sheriff independent, right? Make sure you do that. Listen, I tell people this all the time. They're like, when do you want me to come down to the county city building, sir? Right? They send me a message. I tell them, I will let you know. If hopefully it won't come to that, right? But if they were to try to remove me from office through some shenanigans before my term is up, and before I run for election, and somebody either beats me or they recall, whatever, right? I'm not leaving, and I'll let people know. And then you can come down and join around and protest and block off the place. Let it be known. That will be a constitutional crisis. It will be great for that to happen, right? So I tell people, I will let you know. We'll know about it. And if it gets really, really bad, there's other steps that I'm not going to share here right now that I'll take, but you'll know what's going on because I'll come out and say, this is Sheriff Swank. This is what I'm doing, right? And I need you to help me. And if you believe in me, to help me out like that. But here's what we can do also. You need to get behind a candidate and support them with your time and money, right? And I tell people that all the time. They go, oh, I gave $10. Well, $10 is not enough. Give them money. Also, if we win at city councils and more local elections where we can win at, right? If we have these little things called, like, I forget the name of them, but they're a commissioner that's in charge of ditches, right? That's out in the rural area. But see, it's really, really important because you get the wrong people there. They'll shut down a road for salmon smolt, right? Or something like that. Or you have to put a culvert in that costs $50 million or something like that. Those are really important things that people don't even normally think about. But if you get people involved in there, doggone it, conservation district, right? We have a conservation district. It's completely run by left-wing whack jobs. Completely. That's also a farm field for the Democrat Party. The
Yep.
commissioner, whose name is Ang, A-N-G, she was part of that before. Other elected officials in the county were part of this conservation district that they were elected into these positions, right? And then they did their time, then they're allowed to do this or step out and these other things. But conservatives, or I'll just say Republicans or regular people who are busy with life, taking care of their family, working and all that, they haven't been involved in that because they've been working and paying bills and taking care of everything, but they need to get involved in it. And there's all kinds of these commissions that we need to get normal-minded people in it. And I say normal all the time because the left hates it. They know, what's normal? I go, you know what normal is? A normal person, not it's the 99% of us, not the 1%, right? That's what normal is. Normal Americans, right? And they really hate that word, but they want to try to take it away. I just had to talk to somebody about that today about words, right? Like, don't let them take our speech away from us either, right? Don't use plural pronouns when it's singular. Don't refer to a person as a they. Refer to him as a him or a her, and tell them, I don't care if you don't like your pronouns, right? I'm going to call you by the English pronouns, what we have. But anyhow, I'm digressing there. But that's what we need to do. Get involved in all of this stuff. Push back at every level all the time. I mean, you can be courteous and still push back, right? You don't have to be rude and push back, but you can just say, listen, you can't tell me there's more genders than a boy and a girl. I'm not buying it at all. You're not changing science on me and telling me something that's different because now you can't define what a woman is, right? I mean, you ask somebody who's a Democrat, what's a woman? They won't answer you now.
Yeah.
They won't answer you. Then they go, well, it's a construct. What are you talking about? My grandchildren say this. Their little boys, they say this. So they know the difference. They say sissy has a vagina, right? So they
It's
know
like
that they know it's up. They're 3 years old. So go to them if you need some science, right?
yeah, it's
So
like
and
kindergarten
push back
carp.
on all stuff. Right?
Kindergarten cop. Remember that movie? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. No, it's a little boy knows what a little girl is. You don't need to be a scientist. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
Well, it's
saying
all
you do.
that's all social programming. That's all psychology. That's the far left in the education system that is programming kids, because anyone that has a background in psychology understands that a child from age 1 up to age 9, like, they are more susceptible at those ages to social programming, whatever you tell them, like, and that'll go into their subconscious mind, and they will live that the rest of their life because they've been programmed that way. And the media does it, the government does it, like, you know. So we have to understand that it's all just social programming. It's all psychological manipulation, getting people to think that they're a boy or a girl. So
Exactly. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, you are preaching our song here, because that's, our big thing is trying to get people to run for office at the lower levels, because we know that that is actually where the real things can happen, to the real change can happen from the bottom up. So, so that's really what we push here. Like, my husband is going to run for governor. I'm sure he'd step aside if you said yes, but but anyway, it's more to get our ideas out there, right? So that we have this big thing, so that when people see it and hear about it, then they're going to vote for those lower offices, because so many of them go uncontested. I mean, we were looking at them, and we had like 50% in some counties where it was, uncontested races in these small races, or they've been in there for decades and there's nothing changing, and God knows what they're doing, because nobody stops and asks. They just keep reelecting. So that is exactly what we are pushing.
Yeah. So this year, when the election time comes around, like in May, is whenever you are signing up for, that's you need to look through there and just go through the whole list of what offices are up for election. You go, oh, we have cemetery directors, right? I don't really know what they do, but let's get a normal person in there so you can still bury people. Because sometime down the road, they're going to say, oh, no, you can't bury them, but you can make them into fertilizer, right? Stuff like that.
Right.
It's going to be
Right.
really bizarre stuff, right? Or like Soylent Greens, you can't bury them, but you can eat them, or whatever, right? So you can't trust them to do their things normally, right? So we need to get people involved in all of that stuff, right? Just like I was talking about the ditches. I forget what it's called, but Amy Coover knows the name of it because she picks people to run in those things, right? So
Right.
reach out to your, normal minded council members and say, are there some commissions to get on, and get people on these commissions? I mean, we have the Charter Review Commission that is more non-normal minded people won the elections than normal minded people. So now we're going to have some trouble with that, right? That we have to deal with. But these lower level elections are very important. I just want to say, Colorado used to be a red state 30 years ago. It was a red state. It was a Republican state. It was that way for a long time. Democrats went in, and there's a book about it. I don't remember the book's name. It doesn't matter. They went in there with a plan, and they had a long-term plan, right? We're always looking about these quick fixes. They said, we're going to start out in the city councils here, like in Denver and this place and that place. We'll start getting our people into those council positions, and then we'll move up farther. Not now, move up further, up to governor, work our way through that. Now, guess what? It's a blue state. So we can do that. It's just going to take time. Maybe we'll be dead by the time it happens here, but we start down that process or down that road, working on it. We can get this thing turned around.
No, we're going to do this quick. We're going to bring transparency and all the good stuff that's needed, and we're going to do it quick.
I hope so. I'm getting old. I don't want to wait around much longer,
Right? Yeah. No, I'm with you. I agree completely. Well, listen, unless there's anything else that you really want to talk about, for some reason, we just got kicked off of Facebook again. Maybe that does mean that we're getting somewhere. Anyway, is there anything else that you wanted to say before we go ahead and sign off?
Well, 2 things, 3 things. I'm going to tell you thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it. It's really important. I don't know how many people are watching this, but people are going to hear it. And I really think we did a good job and a good interview here, and people will hear a lot about it. Second thing is, for you, Tony, and your family, tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., I'm having breakfast with the sheriff at Kelly's Cafe in Spanaway. That's on the Ave and 163rd.
Yeah.
7 till 9 a.m. I'll be there. You can talk to me in person, and I these are my community outreaches, right? So let people know about that to show up there.
Okay. Yeah, we will. I was just thinking that we'd take the kids out for breakfast tomorrow morning
go
since
there.
we got them. So hey,
between 7 and 9, and there'll be other cops there. They'll get to see cop cars and cops there and all kinds of stuff like that.
That'll be fun.
Tomorrow evening, I'll be in downtown Tacoma at Urban Grace, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'll be speaking there at a forum. And this is a forum put on by somebody who really doesn't like me at all. So when people say, oh, he doesn't talk to other people, I'm going down in the heart of the Tacoma, where most of the people there did not vote for me, do not want me to be the sheriff, even though I don't sheriff technically Tacoma. I'll be there. So people can come down to that Urban Grace 6 to 8 p.m. tomorrow night. It would be great to see some normal people there.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
Follow me on X. It's at Swank, the number 4 America, at Swank for America. That'll keep up to date on everything that I'm doing. And you'll be able to see what's going on there, and follow me. Don't just look what I said, but follow me. After I spoke in Olympia, our followers went up 10,000 already since then. So people are watching and following. So do that.
That's awesome.
Tell Daniel Garcia hello. I was texting with him today. Tell him I said hi when you see him next.
I will. I will actually send him this interview right after we're done here.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
he's coming. He's supposed to be coming on next week, isn't he, Michael?
Yep, that's correct.
Very good.
Yeah, so that'll be awesome too.
Yeah.
Great. Well, again, thank you for everything that you're doing. But keep it up, because we definitely support you 1,000%. And if there's ever anything that we can do to help support you, please let us know, because we are there for it. So
thank you all very much. Good to meet you.
Yep. Thank you,
all right.
Sharon.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Have a great night.
You too.